this guy did a show at the club. He booked the club for the whole night. I was working the door at this club, and he decided to come out. He booked 3 other comics too. He decided to come out after each comic in a different costume as a different character and do stand up as a different person. And he'd never done stand up. Like, he was not a stand up. I might have seen him at like one open mic or something, and then he decided to put on this whole big show. He was like a model or something.
So he just had like a grand idea.
And I watched this motherfucker bomb in front of his friends. All the club was all people he brought. I watched him bomb 3 times on the same show, and it was painful. And I went up. I think I went up after the first character, and I had the best set of my life. And he also he recorded the whole thing. He had triple camera set up and everything. And I remember hitting him up the next day, like, hey man, do you think I could get that tape? You know, and he was like, I can't watch it right now, but I'll get it to you as soon as because I felt him. Like, his heart was ripped out of his chest. By the time he went up the 3rd time, he was already broken. And
this was his first time on stage?
It was not his first time on stage, but it was like he'd done maybe 2 open mics and then put on this show for all his friends and family. And I'd forgotten about it. I didn't hear from the guy for like 6 months, you know. And one day I come into work and somebody's like, hey man, somebody dropped this off for you. And it was a DVD with that set on it. That I was like, that was the best set I ever had. Like, I can't wait to watch this. And I get home and I pop it in the computer, and it was so bad. And that's when I realized, like, oh no, like, the lessons you would have learned from that, you've already learned now in these 6 months. Like, you needed to watch that the next day or within a week or something to get right.
You figured it out. It's funny in the beginning because you're working with open micers too. So like, I remember when I got my first gig, when I got a paid gig, I realized, there's a giant difference between an audience that's there to see a comedy show versus an audience that goes to an open mic night. They're there to see pros. And I wasn't really a pro. I was just doing open mic nights. I sucked. And the youth, when you're working with people that are terrible, I mean, they're so bad they'll never be good. They just don't, whatever the fuck it is that makes a person funny, they are void of that. We know those guys, right? Those girls, those non-binary folks. When you learn, like, how to do it, like, comedy is one of those things. It's just, everyone's got to figure out their own little weird path, you know? And we're all doing that for the first time, and you're trying to imitate people, and so everybody sucks. So if you go up and get a few laughs, you think you're the shit. And then you do a working show where you're working with, like, real pros, and you realize how terrible you are.
Yeah, well, that's why places like the store were important, because it was like, you know, you're the shit in fucking Des Moines.
Yes.
And then you go to LA and you go to the store and you every night you see people that are light years beyond you, and you need that. You need to see that. Yeah, because so many people, they're comfortable being king of the hill because they scared to climb the mountain.
One of the things that Mitzi used to do at the store is if she thought you were any good, she'd put you on after the best people.
Oh, God.
You just died. You died. I had to go on after Richard Pryor 5 weeks in a row. Every time Richard Pryor did a set, I went on after him.
Yeah, but you know what, though? The best people, that doesn't scare them.
Scared the shit out of me.
Did it?
Oh, yeah.
You weren't like, it wasn't part of you that was like looking forward to it, to the challenge?
No, I was terrified.
Oh my God.
You know who terrified me the most? Martin Lawrence.
Oh.
Dude, I've talked about this before, and I'm sorry if you've heard the story, but Martin Lawrence during the You So Crazy days in the 90s, I was just getting to LA, so it was like 94, just getting to LA. Little cute, fresh-faced Joe Rogan, and I was terrible. You know, just clunky. Real, you know, I'd get a few laughs. I had a couple of good bits, but then I'd fuck something up and just, you know. So I had some potential, and I was working at it. And I just went on after murders. And when Martin Lawrence would kill, but people forgot how goddamn good Martin Lawrence was back then.
I hear that from everyone, man.
People forgot. If you go back and watch some of his specials and hear the laughs, you'll get... It's always hard to watch a special from the 90s, because for some reason... the comedy doesn't hold up that good with, like, it holds up for Pryor, it holds up for Kinison, it holds up for the greats of the greats, but like if you watch like some of the really good specials from like the 1990s, there's something about them. They're just kind of the style's dated. Something's
No,
different.
I think it's just that some comedy is about the big picture, like just humanity, and some comedy is about the times.
Right.
And the comedy is specifically about the times, unless things are exactly things are the same.
Right.
It doesn't hold up because the culture's so different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, culture shifts so radically.
You know who I always fucking dreaded following?
Who?
Fucking Joey Diaz.
Oh, he was the monster.
Joey Diaz.
That's why I started taking him on the road with me.
Oh yeah.
Because I had a bomb going on after him. I was like, oh, good. I'm going to take him on the road with me. It'll force me to get better.
Rick Ingram. A lot of people won't admit this, but everyone hated following Rick Ingram.
Oh, because Rick Ingram would work the crowd.
He worked the crowd, but just so masterfully. Like the crowd would be mad that he was gone and that you were there instead.
Also, they wanted to talk.
Yeah.
When Rick's up, he'll talk to you. He wants you to talk back. He wants to fuck around with you and have a conversation with you.
But I was like, I told talent, I was like, I want to go after him every time. If we're on the same one.
That's great.
Yeah, because because I would bomb after him all the time, and I was like, until I figure out how to not bomb after him, I'm missing something.
You got to cut all the fat out. That's what I realized. You got to cut to the point. Don't be self-indulgent. Pay attention to yourself like you're a hater. Cut that shit out. Make it quicker. Get to the funny. Cut all the stuff that's like C material. Cut it out.
I look at my act like that, like I'm getting ready for like a bodybuilding thing, where it's like I just bloat it full of every fucking possible idea I could possibly have.
The bulking phase.
Yeah, and then I fucking yeah.
That's a good way to think about it. The bulking phase, because it is like the bulking phase. I'm in the bulking phase right now because I'm writing all this new shit.
But that's good. That's my favorite part about the whole shit. It's like watching a kid grow up. It's like
exciting.
Yeah, just wait until I figure it out. By the way, I think I figured out that one bit.
Oh, beautiful.
We'll see.
Good. See you tonight.
Yeah.
Those days though of like bombing I bombed after Dice a bunch of times. I bombed after Damon Wayans. I bombed after everybody.
Yeah. It's so many people that's so funny.
Oh my God! But back in the 90s.